City had chances to equalise, came very close on a couple of occasions, not least through Miedema. But at half-time at the Emirates Stadium on the first WSL game of the new season, it is Arsenal 1, City 1. Well, let's go back to the studio. And here's Cel.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Thank you, Alistair Mann. I am with KB and Tash as we are bringing you all the action from our opening WSL fixture against Arsenal at the Emirates. It's currently Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. Before we start working into the key moments of the half, of which there were a few. Tash, what's your assessment of the first 45 minutes, please?
City are very lucky, I think. I know Miedema had that one chance where she tried to lob it, but I do think they're very lucky to not be more behind.
Yeah.
Great individual skill by Miedema to create the opportunity for herself, but I think City have been way off it in terms of players being brave enough to get on the ball, trying to penetrate through lines, and just in structure and defensively. Yeah, I think very lucky, but like we said at the start, a sign of a good team is if you can win or get a result while you're not playing well, then it's a great sign.
It really is. It stands you in good stead. And there's still 45 minutes to go, and obviously we can still see what the second half brings, KB. But is it a formation thing? Is it? You know, it's difficult, isn't it? But like Arsenal, really, I think it's fair to say, probably been more dominant in that first half. Why do you think that's been?
Yeah, it was a bit of give and take at the start, wasn't it? And we had a moment just before that led essentially to Man City obviously being very open, and then Fox down that right side really exposing the space that was left when we were transitioning to go in attack. And I think like the game has been quite transitional. I think, like you say, Arsenal has been on top essentially. But to me, it looks like the midfield is really getting overrun. Obviously, with Arsenal playing a 4-2-3-1, they've got that 5 in the midfield, and Maanum looks like she's picking up some spaces just off Yui Hasegawa. And then you obviously got the threat to the back line from Sina Blackstenius, and those gaps are, you know, becoming really enormous. And it's making people's roles and responsibilities really difficult in terms of who tracks where, who's closest. Well, everyone's like miles apart, you know. Yeah. So it's quite clever from Arsenal. You know, whether that means a formation change from Gareth Taylor, you know, let's be honest, like it's probably something that he's not going to do. Whether it's key substitutions and switches, I don't know, but we certainly need someone helping alongside Yui Hasegawa in build-up and in out of possession as well.
Let's then get into the first goal. As you said, we'd actually fashioned a chance just before that, Tash, and it was a quick break from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think I said during the build-up that Blackstenius is very good. One of her strongest points, if not her biggest strength, is running in behind, and she creates confusion within the back line. So now you've got a back line that's not in the same line as to whether we were saying that they either need to drop together or stay high together. It just allows Arsenal to control the back line without even City knowing. Find a ball down the right-hand side, and what's happening is everyone's having to cover, drop deep. Whether I asked you the question tonight, KB, are the back line dropping too quick, too early, or are they just being running, which is a good run? Maanum picks up amazing space, and what she has done throughout this game so far, late runs into the box, and she's on her own, and it's a great finish. So I think what's happening with City is just not knowing who's doing what job right now, and I think it's pretty evident.
Yes. We then, of course, we kind of fashioned a half chance with new signing for Gino. Came close. Wasn't meant to be. Then just before we get into our goal, while we went down with an injury, and Alana Kennedy comes on. I mean, gutting, of course, to see a player go off so early, but we were saying there was something like very similar that happened last season. How do you think Alana Kennedy will come into the game in the second half?
Yeah, it's always tough, I think, trying to get up to speed when you come in as a sub. Like, obviously, as a goalkeeper, I didn't do it very often.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of knew if you were coming on or not. But yeah, I think when we did see that in the derby, I think, to be fair, was it last year?
Yes.
When Alana Kennedy came on for Alexandria, I think it was. She got up to speed relatively quickly, and in this kind of game, like, you don't have a chance not to, because straight away, Sina Blackstenius is running at you. You're trying to make all sorts of decisions around whether you step, whether you drop. But I think she's more than capable. We've seen that, you know, obviously when she's been away with Australia, but obviously in pre-season as well. But perhaps she hasn't gotten the minutes that she probably would have wanted in pre-season. So there might be a little bit of lag, but she's more than capable.
Before as well, obviously, then I think Arsenal still had a couple more chances, and again, we're reminiscent of either that running behind or where there was a lot of space between the defence and the midfield. Tash, from a defensive point of view, can City be doing anything a little bit better to try and counter that?
I think at the minute they're just indecisive whether they all go press, which means you have to commit and go in with someone as a back four, so whether that's Alex Greenwood or Alexandria or whoever's in that back line, they either have to go in with that person, drop and everyone else cover behind, make sure goalkeeper's obviously in a good position, or they drop a little bit earlier, so deny the space. You can see Blackstenius when she's making the run. I know she does it blindside, which means she's obviously coming from the side that you're watching the ball. But I think they either have to anticipate early, drop early, so deny the space in behind, or they be aggressive and be front-footed.
I think the problem is there's no pressure on the ball.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the trigger, isn't it? Like, if there's pressure on the ball, then you can step, but if there's not, then you have to kind of cover the space in behind. And that's, you know, is it where you bring in someone like a Kirsten Kasperai to come in and control the midfield, maybe a little bit alongside Yui, or is it a Laya or a Layla? Obviously, Uabi's gone off now, but like, does Alexandria go into the midfield and kind of give a bit more security with a back three, like what we see with the men? I don't think that's probably going to happen because we don't see that change of formation happen much with Gareth Taylor's side, but there definitely needs to be a bit more of a semblance of control in that midfield space. And you're quite happy to let the switch happen, you know, when you have that central spine, but if you haven't, it's just chaos because you're constantly tracking runners and running towards your own goal, which is chaotic.
And also what we saw, which was interesting, we kept saying was, and we didn't see much of this last season, but Bunny Shaw dropping really deep to almost give us that extra body in midfield, which I don't know. Obviously, I mean, her hold-up play is so great because if you're trying to get the ball off her, you can't really seem to do it. But quite interesting.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because you've got Viv, obviously, on the pitch as well, who can play in a 9, but then you wouldn't think that the replacement in midfield would be the likes of Bunny Shaw. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of rotation going on. They're trying to figure it out, but like, let's have it right. Bunny Shaw's biggest threat is being a target player, and in the midfield, she just looks a bit out of place, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys would agree.
Massively agree.
And with that then, so like, because then we saw maybe Lauren Hemp drifting into that false 9 a little bit. Is this all just a little bit where we've brought in Miedema of them trying to just still work it out playing together? Because obviously they didn't play together in Paris. Is that at play a little bit, maybe? I
don't necessarily think it's them trying to figure each other. It's Arsenal posing an interesting question and an interesting challenge, and essentially the team is reacting. How are we going to solve this? Because what could potentially happen if Kirsten goes on the inside, Jess Park pulls out wide, you've got Bunny Shaw staying in the 9, and then maybe Viv coming into like the 8 or the 10. You know, but I think it's them just in play. It's one of the hardest things is trying to manipulate 10 or 11 people while the game's ongoing without sort of conceding anything in the process. You know, so it'll be interesting to hear if we get to find out what's being said at halftime, what the changes are going to be made, because I'm sure there will be a couple of substitutions. Yeah,
it'd be nice to be a fly on the wall in the dressing room, wouldn't it? Let's speak about Miedema, though, because great stat from Alistair Mann is that she has now scored against every opponent that she's come up against, which is incredible. I mean, her goal-scoring feat speak for itself. She got the goal as well, and as you said, KB, Tash, it was one that she more or less crafted herself.
Yeah, but it came from really good aggressive pressure from Alexandria coming off the left-hand side to put aggressive counter-press on. So Arsenal won the ball, but she was close enough to get a press on, which I thought City's probably lacked in the first 35 minutes of that. They weren't aggressive in the press enough. That's why we were saying that maybe backline's causing confusion. And then Viv link-up play with Lauren Hemp again, just trying to right around the ball, get the ball back, and then lovely bit of individual skill. I think it happened so quick, a lot of people probably missed it, but
but we didn't.
No, we didn't. There was a lovely flip-flap through the legs.
Just amazing. And then she opened her body to obviously go far side as she's hit. Luck's obviously on her side now and deflection and beats the keeper, but that was literally just created out of nothing. Yeah,
which gave City kind of a lifeline, because we were expecting them probably to go in 1-0, maybe 2-0 down, but it is 1-1. Could have been 2-1, though. There was a fantastic save there at the end to keep it at 1-1.
Yeah, Yamashita did very, very well to kind of close the angle as quickly as she did. And I believe it was Blackstenius, wasn't it, running at her 1v1. You know, I think Yamashita took a really aggressive line because she recognised that Blackstenius' touch was far enough away for her to steal some yards. So she came and closed the space, stayed big, didn't guess. And we've seen that Blackstenius needs a lot of chances to score and convert. So yeah, really well approached by Yamashita there.
We've touched upon a few things then maybe of maybe highlighting where things can be improved or might change a little bit. So Tash, looking at this second half, if you were in Gareth Taylor's shoes, what would you be looking to change to try and I guess get a little bit more control and I feel get us on the ball a little bit more?
Yeah, first thing I'd just say, but Bunny Shaw literally stay on the back foot. That would be that is your biggest strength. Stay there. That would be mine. But defensively, my worry is being overrun and allowing Maanum the space and time. And I think KB has made a very good point in terms of that. And how do you counteract that? Is do we go and in a 4-4-2, but not 4-4-2, but go 2, put one alongside Hasegawa, whether that looks like a City fullback, a centre back stepping in. Or maybe a Jess Park just dropping a little bit deeper. I think right now that should be the priority because that's where Arsenal are getting a lot of the success.
And we also as well spoke about obviously our depth as well, looking to the bench. KB, who do you like the look of? Who could come on and make a difference in the second half?
Oh, it depends on what Gareth wants really. I mean, obviously you've got an experienced Laura Coombs in there that could happily sit alongside and kind of regain some control along Yui, but then you obviously would lose an attacking threat somewhere, or maybe you would move Jess Park outside. Would you take Kashbarai off? It's one of those where I'm not really sure kind of what direction we want to go in, because obviously we know that there is a plethora of talent on the bench to choose from. Yeah,
it just depends on how Gareth wants to go about it. And what we can't obviously understate as well is, as much as maybe there was a couple of players that we thought were missing from the Arsenal lineup, granted they lost in there earlier on in the week, but Tash, this is a very, very good Arsenal side. And as excited I've got about the City squad, which still stands, what we can't not say is that Arsenal are a great team, and that's also what we've seen today as well.
Phenomenal. Again, I just asked the question during the game. One team looks like they've won 5-0, one looks like they've lost 1-0, but it's not the teams that we're thinking.
Yeah.
Arsenal look very high on confidence. They look like they want it more, as Abby McManus said in commentary. And they're a very good team, good squad as well. And they're still missing players. It's not a team to be underestimated. I think they've just never gone over that line a little bit than what they probably should have done in the past. And that's what I think City are just really lucky to still be in it. Yeah,
still in it. And I guess as well, one of the things, if we're trying to go off what you said, Tash, keep Bunny Shaw up towards that goal, because she's not really had many touches in the box or been in and around there. So I guess if we can get the ball more to her in that position, there's every chance she'll put the ball in the back of the net, because that's what she's done all last season and why she won all those awards.
Yeah, and it's just that consistency in maintaining possession in the final third for us, the attacking third, isn't it? Because it's been, like I said, really transitional. You're in there for a half second, you're not. Like Arsenal, let's give them credit where it's due. Like they're playing very, very well. I think Emily Fox is doing very well down that Arsenal right-hand side. I think if I was going to target anyone on that team, I think a lot of Ruben Moyes looked a bit kind of shaky in possession at times. So maybe like targeting her a little bit more in terms of putting Bunny Shaw in between, the two centre backs and kind of like playing off each other's shoulders. Maybe a bit more chaos, but there's no doubt in my mind the quality is in our City squad. And I think they will find the solutions. It's just like how quickly can they get into a rhythm, because Arsenal look like a very well. Drilled side. They look very certain on what their game plan is.
The first 10 minutes of the second half, Tash, I guess are going to be absolutely crucial for Manchester City as well to start well.
Yeah, if they can just, again, manage the game, ride the storm, because Arsenal's probably going to do the same thing again, come out 100 miles an hour. If they can get through that 10 minutes, I think that's where we might start to see that little bit of shift in momentum and hopefully go City's way.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tash. Thank you, KB. Right, come join us at full time. It's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. Alistair Mann has got your commentary. See you at full time. Come on, City.
Thank you, Kel. Well, the statistics from the first half, City with 60% possession, but they had 3 less shots. And ironically, both teams had 2 on target. The truth is that there were times during that game, during that first 45 minutes, when Arsenal looked like they could open City up, but for Yamashita, who was really good in a one-on-one against Blackstenius, City could have been behind despite equalising late in the half. City had to make a change in the first half, an injury to Laila Wahabi. She was replaced by Alana Kennedy. And Arsenal have got the same 11 intact that began the game. So City might just feel as though they were a tad fortunate to have gone in at 1-1 at half-time. But the reality is that they still created one